Welcome back. Today we are going to learn in Blender to make physics rigid body simulation. So let's start. This tutorial is for beginners and learners. First of all, to make things clear, let's delete all the stuff by pressing A to select all and X, or we can just simply press the delete button. Now let's create a base for our simulation. So press Shift A, inside mesh, add a plane, scale. This would be our ground. So let's scale it by 8 times. Press enter. I pressed S for scale and 8 on the numpad to scale it 8 times. Now we have a plane. Now to make it physical, uh, rigid body, we can go into the properties here in the physics tab. In the physics tab, the rigid body, and this plane would be our passive pair, as this is not going to move or interact itself as an object but support for others. So it would be a passive object, rigid body. Shape we can keep it as convex hull, or we can change it to mesh. But for now, we can keep it to a convex hull. Okay, so our base is ready to make the further rigid body simulation. Now let's add objects to make simulate the rigid body. Shift A, mesh, let's add a cube. Now to bring this cube up on our plane, press G to grab it, Z to lock the movement on the Z axis. Now you can press on numpad 1 to get it up by 1 unit. Now this cube is on the plane. Now we can create such multiple boxes and simulate a rigid body of it. So what we are going to do is add rigid body to this cube. So in similar in the physics tab, we go to rigid body, and this would be our active type, as this is going to move rather than just being a plain thing on which others will point. Passive is what our plane is. Active would be the objects that we want to move. Passive will be the things which other active objects interact with. For now, we want to keep the mass 1 kg. Later, we can change it according to our need. Shape here we can change it to a box, as this is a defined box shape. As you go further, the shapes are not defined, so keeping it mesh is also a good option. But for keeping the simulation uh, low on your hardware, we can keep it to convex hull. But for now, we have a simple box, so we selected a box. So this is now an active rigid body. To see this, we can just what we can do is grab this box, press G to grab it on to move and lock its movement on the Z axis. We can move it by mouse to make the height as per our need. He'll keep it somewhat like that. You can zoom out. Now, this is the timeline here in which our simulation is going to be played. So it is for default of 250 frames. That is around 7 to 8 seconds of video, or you can say for 24 frames per second. So now let's hit play to see what happens with a passive rigid body plane and an active rigid body box or a cube as we say. Let's hit play. As we see, the box falls down. This might not look much, but if you are coming from modeling or anything which doesn't have simulation, you're going to like it further as we move forward. So let's get back to our timeline. We can do this by pressing this button or shortcut is shift and back arrow. Okay. So we have a cube which is active and a plane. What we are going to do is a simple simulation of boxes and a sphere, heavy sphere we should say, falling on these boxes and to see what happens to them. Now we have one box. What we have to do now is to create a pile of it. It's really simple to create a pile of boxes from here on. So what we will do is grab this cube, move it on the x-axis and take it to a side. Now we are going to duplicate this box, and as we duplicate it, it will share all its properties to the new one. So the properties that we have assigned it is the property of physics rigid body with the type and the collision shape which we change to a box. So when we press Shift D to duplicate it, we can do it manually by selecting an option, but this is the shortcut I frequently use. Now where the box is duplicated, now I have to place it. So I'm going to move it on the x-axis by pressing X on the keyboard and dragging it to the right. Here we have another object. I want to place it somewhat near it. Now we have one. So to repeat this process, what I just did, what to copy and make more of these boxes, what I will press is Shift R. This will create another box. Again Shift R, Shift R, Shift R. Shift R works like to do the step that we did before again without doing to, like if I did something like move the cube up by 1 unit and press Shift R, then it would do it again and move the cube up by 1 unit again. So it does the same task again and again. So now we have a line of 6 boxes. Now what we are going to do is directly we are going to right click. Some people may have the settings set to left for selection. I have the right click to select object. Right click to select. Now to select this object too, I am going to press shift right click. So it selects both of them. Again shift right click, shift right click, shift right click, shift right click. I've selected all of the objects. The active selection is in a bright orange and the selected ones are in a somewhat of dark shade of the orange. Now I am going to press shift D. Again, it duplicates all the selected objects. I want to move it on the y axis. I want to press Y on the keyboard and drag it with the help of mouse. I'm going to put them somewhere here and hit enter or just click on mouse. You can now have 2 rows of or 2 columns of boxes, rigid body enabled. So we can just make one more row over here and we can do that by pressing shift R. Remember to not do anything else after duplicating this. So when you press shift R, it does the same thing. Other than if you just click here or move something up or down, it would do that. So now we have duplicated the 6 boxes from the row to another row. So now again, let's just press shift R. Yeah, I'm on the line. Okay. So what we can do is again press shift R. This would create, but this is going to side. So we can just move the boxes here. We can press the button G to grab them. On this green line you see is the Y axis, red is the X axis and blue is the Z. We'll get to know it as you work with it. Now I'll press Y. I'll take it to the side. For now I don't think the spaces between them matter much more as this is going to be random. So now we have here, we can again press shift D, duplicate Y right side. Okay, here we have it. a pile of boxes. Then we can just stack them up to. So what we can do is just go into the top view by pressing the Z axis top here. And I'm going to box select. We can do it by using mouse. This selects the plane too. So we can just unselect it by pressing shift and double click on the plane. So it just gets selected as an active first and then gets deselected. Now we have all the cubes selected. You can see it in the right window. Total we had 30 boxes to now. This is 29 and the first one has none. So now we'll just press again shift D. This time Z axis. Grab it up, grab it up. This is not the best angle to look on, but we can do it with some knowledge. Again, I'll press shift R, shift R. I think that's enough of boxes for the first rigid body simulation that we are going to do. Now I think we can scale our ground much more as these boxes are going to fall over, so it may go down. Let's see how that works. I'm going to again just press play. As you see, all the boxes get fall and line straight on each other as we kept them that way. But when we make the ball fall in it, a heavy one, it may be destroyed in always. So now what we can do is first just let's see how the ball does on the with the small plain ground. Now let's add that heavy thing. So first I'm going to press shift A to add a mesh. That would be our your wheel sphere. Included run it's between these sphere cubes, but we can see its outline. What we can do is just press G to grab it, Z grab it up. Here is a sphere. So what we can do is scale it up about 3 times. Good. And now let's give it a rigid body as we did for the cubes. In the physics tab, rigid body active. And here we are going to change the mass. From the cubes are all 1 kg. We can make this as 100 kg. We can always change in any things, any parameters for each and every individual cube too. But for this simulation, we are going to do it simple. Now, as we played earlier, let's go to the first frame by pressing shift and back arrow. Okay, here we go. And let's see what happens when we make this 100 kilograms of ball fall on these piled 1 kilogram cubes, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Lot of them, 120. Okay, so let's hit play. We will see. Okay, the cubes fly down to the void. Let's hit stop. Let's see the destruction caused by this ball. Let's deselect it. That thing somewhere in the void. Right click or left click as your selection is. You can see Bill Boy's cubes piled up, broken now. You can do it from more height to see how much more chaos it does. Shape back arrow to the first frame of animation. Right click to select the sphere. Grab a Z axis up. We can't sweep, but that's okay. We'll see in a few moments. Then let's hit play. So it's giving me around 13 FPS. Let's now increase the platform to make the cube stay on here. skip maybe 2 times. I think now when hit play, yeah, pile of cubes that will go comes down, falls on this. We can also change the direction, move it a little X or Y axis with claim. We can also duplicate this, use sphere to multiple to bring in more chaos. Play. What we want to do. But yeah, that's it for our today's rigid body simulation using the physics in the blender. Hope you learned something. Thank you.